So crypto ETNs are now available for UK retail investors to invest into, namely Bitcoin and Ethereum ETNs. This is after the FCA lifted the ban earlier this month, and then on the 20th of October they became available on some investment platforms. However, there's a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation going around about what exactly these ETNs are, how they work, how they're different to other ETNs, how they differ to ETFs, and also the details of the option available. And most importantly, there's some breaking news around the ISA eligibility of these crypto ETNs. So in this video, I'm going to go through all the details I think will help you do your own research and decide if these ETNs have a place in your portfolio. Before we go any further, I need to make one thing very clear. I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. I'm not promoting any of these products. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I'm just simply sharing some news and some details of them. Crypto ETNs are considered high-risk investments and you could lose all your money. Please do your own research and if unsure about anything, consider consulting with a qualified financial advisor. So first of all, what has actually happened? Previously, the FCA banned crypto ETNs for retail investors to protect consumers, but they were available on the stock exchange for professional investors. So some of these ETNs did already exist, they just weren't accessible to retail investors. Now, what we should say is that just because the FCA have approved these crypto ETNs for retail investors does not mean that crypto is suddenly low risk. It's still considered a very high risk, highly volatile investment. It just means they now exist inside a regulated ETN format, exchange-traded product format, which does make it more accessible to some investors who didn't want to use some of these unregulated or less well-known platforms, or they didn't want the hassle of storing their own crypto. This is not a video getting into the debate about whether you should store your own crypto or use a crypto ETN or invest in crypto at all. That is not the point of this video. We're going into the details and clearing things up. So one of the biggest concerns that people have is that it's an ETN and not an ETF. An ETN, exchange traded note, is a debt instrument that aims to track the performance of an asset. The problem that people have is that these ETNs usually don't hold the underlying assets. Therefore, in addition to the market risk, the investment risk, there's also the issuer risk, because if the fund provider goes bankrupt or runs into financial difficulty, then investors aren't protected and they could lose money. On the other hand, exchange-traded funds that use physical replication actually hold the underlying assets and investors have a claim on them. So if the fund provider ran into difficulty, these assets that the fund owns are segregated from the fund provider, so investors still have something backing up that fund. So many investors are frustrated that it's a crypto ETN and not an ETF. However, this is not the FCA being difficult here. It's simply because under existing regulations, the UCITS framework, it is not possible for it to be a crypto ETF. That's because as part of the UCITS regulations, there's a diversification requirement. And if a fund was 100% Bitcoin or 100% Ethereum, then of course it can't meet that diversification requirement. This is the same reason when you buy a gold exchange-traded product or a silver exchange-traded product, that is not an ETF. So a lot of people might say they have a gold ETF in their portfolio. They actually don't. It'll be an ETC, exchange-traded commodity. The same reason applies. It can't be a gold ETF because it's 100% gold, therefore it doesn't meet diversification requirements. And I guess in the case of crypto, I don't really think we can call Bitcoin or Ethereum a commodity, so it can't be an ETC, it can't be an ETF, so it has to be an ETN. There's no conspiracy behind it, it's just getting it to fit into the existing regulatory framework. However, there's one big caveat here, and that is that crypto ETNs are slightly different to normal ETNs. And this difference is actually very important. The crypto ETNs that UK retail investors can invest into are actually 100% collateralized with Bitcoin. So they have a custodian that holds the Bitcoin, and that means there is something backing up the funds. So if there is issuer difficulties, the fund provider runs into difficulty, there is that collateral, there's something backing it up. This does not mean there's zero risk associated with it. It's still going to cause problems if the issuer runs into difficulties, but it does alleviate a lot of that concern that people had of ETNs under the idea that it was just a debt instrument with nothing backing it. So in this sense, it's secured, not unsecured. There is collateral. And just to provide a source here, this is on the LSE fact sheet, the London Stock Exchange admission fact sheet. So it states here, the exchange will only consider applications for admission in respect of crypto ETNs where the issuer can demonstrate to the satisfaction of the exchange how it can meet and will continue to meet after admission the following. The proposed crypto ETN is physically backed, i.e. non-leveraged, has a market price or underlying value measure of the underlying that is reliable and publicly available, and has Bitcoin or Ethereum underlying crypto assets. The underlying crypto assets must be wholly or principally held in cold storage, i.e. in an offline depository wallet, which includes cold staking or subject to arrangements that achieve an equivalent outcome to cold storage. Now, you should always check the ETN documents yourself for full details. But from the ones I've checked, they are 100% physically backed by Bitcoin in the case of Bitcoin ETNs. Now, onto the breaking news / big caveat with these crypto ETNs. As of now, they're eligible to be held in a stocks and shares ISA, which does make them quite accessible for investors. However, HMRC have released some guidelines that basically says from the new tax year, they're no longer going to be qualifying investments for the stocks and shares ISA, and instead be qualifying investments for the innovative finance ISA. They do say they're going to keep this under review, and as the market matures and consumer understanding deepens, they may allow them back into stocks and shares ISAs, but this will be a bit of a bummer for some investors. Not many people know what an innovative finance ISA is, and even fewer people actually use them. And in terms of platforms that offer them, well, your platforms that you use for your stocks and shares ISA, in most cases, probably don't have an innovative finance ISA. So I can see why a lot of people might be annoyed about this news, and it does seem like a bit of overcomplication that may not be necessary. How it is at the moment is that in a stocks and shares ISA, you may have to complete an additional risk questionnaire to show that you understand how these crypto ETNs work. And I personally think that's a good balance because there's that additional consumer protection, you're showing you understand them, and you understand the risk, you're accepting that risk. And once you've done that questionnaire and accepted that risk, I think the responsibility transfers onto you. If you've done that and said you're happy with that risk, and then you make a mistake and invest into them and it doesn't turn out well, that's the investor's fault, not the platform's fault. You've accepted that risk. And when it comes to this being about protecting consumers, the argument I'd say on the other hand is that right now I can buy 3 times leveraged, 3 times long, 3 times short individual stock ETPs in my ISA. And recently, for example, AMD went up by 33% in one day. Investors who held the 3 times short AMD ETP got wiped out in a day instantly. And obviously, that is an extremely risky product, but you can hold that in a stocks and shares ISA. So I just think we have to be clear about why are we not allowing them in the stocks and shares ISA. If it's about protecting consumers, then why are 3 times leveraged individual stock ETPs allowed in stocks and shares ISAs? Just a question I'm posing there. Okay, lastly, I want to give a quick overview of the options available right now for retail investors when it comes to these crypto ETNs. I've put on screen the 4 Bitcoin ETNs I found that trade in GBP on the London Stock Exchange. There's probably other listings in USD, but we'll just focus on the GBP ones because UK investors would not have to pay a foreign exchange fee to buy these ones. And you can see there's a range in terms of providers you probably know, like WisdomTree and iShares, and then ones that you probably haven't heard of or unlikely to have heard of, 21 Shares and Bitwise. In terms of fund size, there's quite a variety. The WisdomTree and iShares ones are quite big, whereas the 21 Shares and Bitwise ones are smaller. And then total expense ratio, there's also a bit of variety. There's a big caveat with this total expense ratio that I'll get onto. And then lastly, I've shared the information that they are 100% physically backed. Now, running through each of these details, what should you consider with your research? With total expense ratio, this is the annual cost of owning the ETNs. But keep in mind that a lot of these ETNs are offering promotional rates. So they've kind of all cut their fees recently to kind of get on the back of the excitement around the launch. If you look at this ETF Stream article here, they have said that it is temporary, so they might bring them back up. So when you're making decisions based on fees, just keep in mind that these ETNs might have their fees raised again, and it does seem that they are stating they will raise them again, which is quite unusual because I've only ever come across ETPs lowering their fees, not increasing them. But in this case, it is a temporary promotional rate for a lot of these ETNs. AUM, assets under management, is basically a measure of the size of the ETN. The larger this number, you can basically see it as a measure of the popularity, the more investor money is inside it. Of course, these details are subject to change and you should always read the fund documents, but I hope this quick overview helps you with your initial research. So that is it for this video. Just a quick recap. We've explained why they're ETNs and not ETFs. They can't be ETFs due to existing regulations. We've also explained why these crypto ETNs are different from other types of ETNs because they are 100% physically backed, as according to the London Stock Exchange admission fact sheet. We've also covered the news that come the 6th of April next year, they may no longer be available as HMRC's current stance in stocks and shares ISAs and instead be available in innovative finance ISAs. What this means for holdings you have in your stocks and shares ISA then, I can't say for sure, but it is possible that your platform will force sell these investments on that date and they'll be cashed in your stocks and shares ISA. But we'll have to keep an eye on how things develop. Let me know your thoughts on crypto ETNs in the comments below. I hope this video cleared some things up and some misunderstandings. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more personal finance and investing content. Thank you for watching.